Good time of the day, ladies and gents. Brood here are the Bulls at tonight. Let's talk about the Pro Tour results, shall we? So, Monday top 8 decks, we have blue-red spells deck basically based around the Dynamo Tower. We have a few red-white decks, one straight red-white vehicles, another one 4-color vehicles splashing for disintegration and sideboard counter against colorless spells, and then we had red-white tokens, kind of a sped up red-white aggro version, then white-blue flash, which is basically a mixture between the vehicle's engines and the blue-white spirits in the essence. Then we have one Everworks deck, and then Grixis control and Jeskai control. And the Grixis control took it down, beaten in the finals in quite a sick match, Jeskai control. So, first things first, kind of diverse top 8, but then Everworks, only one in the top 8 with something about like 20% of the field at the Pro Tour in Hawaii, in Honolulu, for this Pro Tour Kaladesh, and that's a pretty bad sign. And the thing is that deck is not super consistent. It either works or either it doesn't. So, and also blue decks with counter spells are pretty sick against that. So that's why, for example, the Marty vehicles, or basically 4-color vehicles that Lisha-chan played, they had 4 rejections in the board. That was a pretty good answer. Probably mainly for Marvel, I would say, I guess, and Colossus decks. Probably not the mirror match. I would say you have other tools for that. Yep. So let's just say that Marvel was basically the most played deck, but it didn't really quite convince people, at least not me, that it's worth the thing. It's definitely pretty crazy, but then again, I probably wouldn't count on it for big competitive tournaments, because people are going to be ready and now they know how to beat it. And the answer actually is not that complicated. On the other hand, if your store play is full of mid-rangey and aggro decks, then Marvel is just pretty much busted, and you may just surprise people at your store at an FNM or a game day or whatever. So that's pretty sick. Then, on one hand, blue-red spells could be cool against vehicle decks and some aggro decks, and then it does have some counters for, Marvel and stuff like that, but let's say compared to other alternatives, it's a better aggro deck. It's a better control deck, sorry. And then it's gonna struggle against mid-range. It's probably gonna struggle a little bit against Marvel as well, simply because like 2 negates and 3 white shatter is probably not gonna stop the party. Yeah. So moving on, unless your store metagame is full of fast aggro decks, I wouldn't advise to pick it up. It's not the easiest deck to play, and it's really a grind a lot of the time. So vehicle decks are going to continue to exist because they have a bunch of free wins, just like Marvel does when your opponent stumbles. But then again, if you go to competitive play, you better be ready for control, because decks with Radiant Flames and Fumigates and just a bunch of chip removal just gonna override you very easily. So if you expect some number of control decks in your meta, probably not very safe to take some red-white or red-black, for instance. Then how do we answer Grixis control and Jeskai control? Probably with something that has creatures that are not super easy to kill and has some protection. So there's a thing that some mid-rangers could be good. The thing is that the deck, which was also in this same top 8, the Blue-White Flash, was actually the most successful deck at the Pro Tour. Basically all the best performing decks from the Pro Tour are just variations of Blue-White. So basically, if your metagame is not very full of control and it's just combo mid-range and aggro, then this is the perfect choice. And then of course you have a lot of things you can, tweak in the deck. So there is no like stock list, although the one that did make the top 8 seems like the most kind of like consistent and smooth. But then again, the absence of some counter spells apart from spell quellers in the main deck makes it very vulnerable to control decks. So just something like Stoic Rebuff could be pretty good, actually. Yep. And then, but it's not gonna be like the best solution ever against the white field. So I would say that you probably want something else. And to basically reply to control decks, what you might want to come back is Black-Green Telegram. It has a decent aggro matchup, and it's probably gonna be pretty decent against control decks with all the recursive threats and hard to kill creatures and stuff like that, and planeswalkers. So black-green or black-white control or absent or something like that. The only like real thing that deck will struggle, I think, that's just to not draw us from the Marvel decks, but that's about it. So this is how you're probably gonna answer the metagame on the white scene at the next competitive tournament. The game day, I don't know, you can play like whatever you want, whatever you know best. Just your deck would need to have plans for the full range of decks in the metagame, because right now you can play whatever you want and do fine with it depending on the metagame, because it's paper, scissors, rock. But then what can I say? So you shouldn't have illusions if you're like playing Delirium deck and you face Marvel and they just go off and hit it, then well, you should just accept it and not get really bummed out about this. But yeah, Blue-White Flash might be the most kind of safe choice in an unknown white meta. So that's probably I would play if I were you at the next big event. The deck list will probably vary. There's a chance that some main deck negates could be cool if you're gonna play in like big tournaments with where you don't know exactly how it's gonna shape up. Because then if you get paired against control, then you have good answers. And even against vehicles decks, it could counter some stuff. Negate among other things still, I believe, counters vehicles because they're not creatures on the stack, so that's still a thing. And then there's just two in this list that they do. Erdo Sage Gallic played at the Pro Tour and did fine with it, and plays in the standard portion. So yeah, instead of Jace or Dovingban in the sideboard, you could come up with something else, but probably two Planeswalkers in those colors are fine. So depends on your preference, and yeah, there is space for tuning within blue-white decks. You might be playing Abby, you might not, so it depends on your list. So you have the core of the deck, but it's actually quite tunable. So good luck at your next event, whether it's FNM Game Day or something more premium or some open event. So until the next sale, goodbye folks.